Hey guys, welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm your host, Alex Whiteley, and joining me on the show today is James Warman. Thank you very much for coming on the show, James.
No problem. Great to be here. Great to talk to you.
Oh, it's going to be really good actually, because I've been flicking through your stuff this morning. It's what I like to do when I got people on the show. I like to sit with a coffee and have a peruse and a nice sort of slow look through what I'm going to be talking about. You know.
Research.
Oh yeah, it's the best thing in the world. Just sat at the coffee table, taking in the coffee fumes, and just slowly working out what I'm going to be doing for today. But today's it's been like an obstacle course. I mean, you know, when everything seems to be in hard mode. Does anybody have days like that where it's just like,
yeah,
it seems like that uphill struggle, you know? I mean, for example, right? I wanted to. So I took the laundry out of the washing machine. I meant to empty the clothes horse, so I put the damp clothes on the table. Went to take Timmy to school, come back. I wanted to sit down, but to be able to sit down, I had to empty the clothes horse to put the damp clothes on the. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just one of those things. I came to sit at the desk, turned on my laptop, and then my computer was like, "Yeah, we're updating now."
It knows. You see, technology knows when it's needed, and it just decides to throw this spanner in the works. I understand that.
I kind of like days like this, though. It sounds really weird. It's not frustrating. It's frustrating now, and but later on, I'll be like, yeah, do you know what? I did it. I got through the day.
Well, life would be boring without days like this, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm still smiling, so that's great. But welcome to the show. Thank you so much. I have been looking at your stuff this morning, and I've got to say, like, okay, you're a photographer.
Yeah.
But not everybody. Okay, so this is one. Not everybody can take good photos, right? Because me and my wife have been having this argument for years, right? She's been like, "Oh, it's the phone. You've always got a better phone than me. It's always got a better camera." And I'm like, "No, I'm actually really good at this stuff." But this argument's been going on for about 10 years. No, 9 years. Where did this all start for you? Photography.
Well, I suppose it really started as a child when I was given a little Kodak Instamatic. So this would be the 70s. Exactly. Yeah. Little point and shoot thing. So this was the 70s. We're talking pre-digital age. And I was given this little camera and I just loved it. And I just loved going out, taking pictures. And I suppose because it's film photography, you obviously don't get to see the image straight away. Yeah. So you take a picture, you have to wait to use the whole roll of film up, then you have to send the film off, then you have to wait a couple of weeks for it to get back. And that kind of just added to the excitement of taking pictures. And each picture you took was, well, certainly for me, was quite precious, if you know what I mean. So it kind of started from there. As a child, something I loved to do. Over the next few years, I just sort of dipped in and out of photography. Always had a camera, though. And I guess in the last few years, I'm just trying to think when it really took off for me. I suppose in the last 10 years, I began to think, I could perhaps do this more seriously. Do you know what I mean? And for a spell, I was a professional photographer. I was trying to earn money as a photographer. But now I have a day job. I work in local government, and that's kind of just freed me up to take the sort of pictures I want to take, rather than taking pictures for that the client has asked me to take. I'm now free to sort of just take pretty much what I want, and it's all good. I'm really enjoying it.
I gotta say, I do remember those days, though. I mean, I got bought a camera. What's the really long one? Was it the 220 or something like that? It's really, really long.
I know, yeah.
And it had like a
camera, wasn't it?
And the film looked almost like a little mini telephone. That's the sort of shape of it, you know. And
yeah, exactly.
I remember that, and it wasn't cheap to get films your film developed either. So, like every single shot. If you're from a family like I was from, that didn't have an awful lot of money, every single shot had to be counted, right? It was really important. And
you tended to just use the camera for special occasions. So it was holidays or Christmas or somebody's birthday. So it wasn't used any other time. And I suppose that was another thrill for me as a child, was that I would take the camera out. It was my camera, so I'd take the camera out and I would just go into the garden and just take pictures of stuff. It wasn't Christmas, it wasn't holiday, it wasn't somebody's birthday. It was just, and that again made it more kind of thrilling and exciting for me.
Yeah, yeah. And there's nothing worse than taking that picture on like the okay, well, I'm going to show you something now. These are I'm staring at some of my favorite pictures of all time. Yep. But it includes one of the worst pictures ever taken of me as well. So I'm a big fan of Kevin Smith, the director, and I got to meet him. Now this is a picture of me and him, but look at look at that face I am pulling. It's the worst for the listeners right now. There's me stood there with the director Kevin Smith, and I'm pulling a face that I don't know. It's just I can't say the word of what it actually seems like.
No, it's one of those moments. I'm trying to think of the word myself without being
I'm pulling a face. I look like a sexual deviant. There you go. I can say that on the show. But like when it comes to like being a professional photographer, there is a point to this, by the way. And they say, I want a picture of this, and I want you to get this precise moment, and it's got to be perfect. What is that pressure like for you? Because you've got to get it right.
Yeah, that is. You're really talking about wedding photography, and that's what I did. I did quite a bit of wedding photography. So an awful lot of pressure. I mean, because obviously a couple hire you for their special day, and there are key moments throughout that day that you need to make sure you capture. So taking the vows, the first kiss, the exchanging of the rings, the first dance, cutting of the cake, all those are key moments. So yeah, there is an awful lot of pressure. I suppose for me, what I found would happen is that I'd get nervous before any photo shoot, any wedding. But once I've got the camera in my hand and once I raise it to my eye, it's like I'm just thinking about photography. I'm just thinking about the composition, the camera settings and the timing and things like that. So actually when I'm taking the picture, I'm probably in a different place. I'm in a particular zone. It's just the bit before and afterwards I think, whew, thank God that's over. But yeah, there is an enormous amount of pressure. What I tended to do with my wedding photography is that I would make it clear from the start that I wasn't a formal, I wasn't taking formal shots. So I would very rarely sort of get the family together and say, okay, you stand here, you stand there. Can you turn this way? Can you turn that way? My style was to be with the couple throughout the day, and I would almost document their day. And at the end of it, I'd have a range of photographs that I'd present to them in a book. I'd create a photo book for them that catalogues their day. So it's more informal, candid shots. Obviously,
they're the best.
Yeah, because you put a camera in somebody's face and they pull the cheesy grin sort of face, and it just doesn't look natural, doesn't look right. Candid shots, people are relaxed, people are enjoying themselves, so they're much more natural and more attractive shots as well. So that's the kind of style I chose. But I always felt the pressure to get that right shot.
I want to come back to that in a second. When you said about the move, thinking about photography as you're doing that. Okay, so I'm going to put a pin in that for a second because I've got two things I want to say. The one is I saw it's a meme you shared of Victorian pictures of where people sat up really straight and they take the pictures, and then the next two are the best fit pictures where they're laughing and they're joking and they're kind of being, and it's the same as like when I take pictures of my kids. Like I like to get that picture of them smiling when they're opening a present and talking to their friends and things like that. When they know that you're going to take a picture of them, that's it. They get rigid, and that's not life. Yeah. That's not documenting life, is it?
Well, I think the Victorians have a lot to blame. I mean, the Victorians back then, the cameras had slow shutter speeds, so if you moved whilst you're having a picture taken, it would blur. So the Victorians came up with this contraption where you'd have effectively a metal rod down your back or down your back and a clamp on your neck to keep you perfectly still. And the reason a lot of Victorians look very stern is that it's almost impossible to hold a smile, hold a fixed smile for the length of that exposure. So that's why Victorian shots always look so formal. And I think there's kind of a bit of a legacy in that when, as I said, when we take pictures now, some people still sort of sit up straight and smile and pose for the camera, when actually a much more relaxed pose, much more relaxed style is makes a more attractive photograph.
Yeah, I always remember, like, I've done a few press shots for the Biscuit, and they're the worst. I'm all about shooting my vocals down a microphone. That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
And Birgitta Zoutman, who's next door to me in the parade, came and took some pictures of me. She was like, "Right, do your thing," and I just didn't know what to do. I've got the finger on the chin, staring at the ceiling. I'm kind of like, doing all those posing shots, but like, I'm not the best. Okay, going back to what you were saying about being in the zone, and when you're taking those pictures, you're thinking about the process, right? That's kind of all that's going through your head. I've just finished watching The Queen's Gambit, right? If you've not seen The Queen's Gambit before, make sure you watch it, because this girl is from a young age, she's obsessed with chess. I mean, there are narcotics involved from a young age, but like the main thing is she's staring at the ceiling and she can see these chess pieces moving along the ceiling. She's obsessed with it. And Maggie Love, who's a friend of mine, she's if you know Shrewsbury, you know Maggie Love. She's amazing. And she was a professional dancer, and she was saying she used to do that. She used to see like dance moves and things on the ceiling. She used to imagine them. I imagine that's your vocation, right? That's kind of like your calling. Yeah.
I mean, I say to people that I'm always taking pictures, even if I haven't got a camera, and I get a funny look. But what I mean by that is that I'm forever, and it's not something that I'm doing consciously. It's just I'll be walking down the street and I'll be seeing scenes. I'll be seeing little shots. So, that will make a good picture. Or the one of the things I do is, again, in the street, you see people walking past you, and I have to be careful because I end up just staring at people because I think, wow, you've got an amazing face. That would make a great face I'd love to photograph you. A couple of years ago, I was in London. I was at the Tate Britain for an exhibition, just looking at stuff. And I was wandering around the rest of Tate Britain looking at the exhibition. But I became fascinated by people stood in front of works of art, stood in front of these pictures. And so I ended up taking pictures of them. So I had a series of photographs of, a famous work of art, but with the back of somebody's head stood in front of it. And it was fascinating just seeing their pose. And you look at the photographs and you begin to think, well, what's that person thinking? What's that person? You can see what they're looking at, but you're wondering what exactly are they looking at? So it's all good stuff.
I like that. When you take a picture like that, you have to awkwardly go up to them afterwards and go, "Excuse me, I just took a picture of you."
Well, yeah. I mean, as I said, my style tends to be candid. So the best way is for me is to take a picture and then ask permission afterwards. What's the old saying? It's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission, or something like that.
I envy that, because when I'm walking when the world was open, when we could do stuff like this, I remember walking around with a microphone and being like, "Would you want to speak to me on the Biscuit?" And people were like, no, thank you. You get the odd person, I'll be like, yes. Actually, I do remember at the driving festivals, I was stressed because I couldn't get anybody to come speak to me, right? Everybody's enjoying the music, the microphone, it's intimidating, right? And I heard this young, "I'll do it," and a little 10-year-old lad. He was like 10 or 8, 9 or 10, and I was just like, wow, he was the first person I interviewed. It was the best thing ever.
Kids, they're brilliant. I guess they're brilliant for your line of work, for just sound bites, but in photography as well. They just absolutely fantastic to photograph because they're so natural and they're just full of energy. So it's great.
When it comes to photography, everybody has their thing. Some people like to do. We spoke to Martha Lilly, who does horses. You know, she does horses. Some people do vehicles. Some people do life, nature. Do you have to have a niche with photography, or can you? You know, does it help?
You can photograph whatever you want. I mean, it depends on your personality, and depends what you're particularly good at. Obviously, you tend to photograph and you like stuff that you are good at. I mean, for me, I've got I don't know, perhaps 3 or 4 different areas that I always return to, that I always subjects that I like photographing. They're quite disparate and diverse. So first off is woodland photography. Love trees, love going out in the forests, just being on my own, wandering around, and I'll take photographs of the woods that I've visited, the trees, sometimes getting close to the bark or a twig or the forest floor, all sorts of stuff, interesting stuff.
Yes, I've got to say, your close-up shots are fantastic, by the way. I was looking for them this morning. They're brilliant.
So there's that. And so when I'm in a particular sort of mood, perhaps a bit more reflective, I will go to the wood, the forest, and just lose myself there and take my camera. But then the other side of me is I love music. I love live music. So gig photography, absolutely love doing that. Obviously, at the moment, it's impossible to do that. But I love doing that. So I was lucky enough to be on the team of volunteer photographers at the Shrewsbury Folk Festival. Obviously, last year it was online, so I wasn't able to do it. But I'm looking forward to this year. Fingers crossed that it will be back again live, and hopefully I'll be a volunteer photographer there as well. And I've also been looking at other festivals because throughout this pandemic, you're kind of restricted in what you can do, and you're all trying to get used to a new way of living. And for me, it's important to think or to remember that there will come a point where things will get better, and we'll be able to get back to a life that's near normal. So I've been looking at other festivals around the country that have said they're planning to open again in the summer, and been talking to them about volunteering for being a photographer at their events. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I think I'm still positive that 2021 is going to be a massive year. I just hope. Okay, so I would like things to go back to normal, but I don't want everyone to go rushing out and be like just a stampede of, hey, look at me, we're over here, and oh, look over here, and then the people. It would just be absolute chaos. I mean, but I would like to get back to some sort. I like it to sort of like gradually come back and sort of ease our way into it, because otherwise it's going to be absolute pandemonium. Imagine if you just open the gates and you go, okay, well, everything's open, the buffet is ready, what happens at the wedding? Everybody rushes over, right?
Yes, the bar is now open.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm with you there. I do miss people. I miss the fact, well, we were supposed to be doing that last year. We were supposed to be doing festivals and things. It just proved like a really nice thing for us to do. It's like we'd turn up with microphones to things and people would be curious. And even though, like I was telling you, that sometimes it can be difficult to get interviews, the interviews that we did get were just great because you get opinions of people. The best ones I got were never really aired because we were at Oktoberfest the one year, and I was getting interviews, but everybody was a little bit tipsy, so I couldn't get a lot of the interviews because I'd had a few drinks as well, so I was shouting down the microphone. The people I was interviewing were shouting down the microphone, so the audio wasn't great. But yeah, us turn up there with a studio and be like, hey, we're here, come and sit down. Great audio quality, let's talk about what you're doing. I like that, capturing live.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to talk a bit about the price of a photograph, right? Because, I'm talking about like on a philosophical sense, right? Because when I was growing up, there was photos everywhere, right? You're all down the stairs, there'd be photos all around the living room. It's not kind of done anymore. Like people are kind of like gone for that minimalist thing. Facebook. I've got thousands of pictures on Facebook, and so is everybody else. People tend to put those photos on social media, and I always used to think, that was devaluing the photograph. I always thought that was like, no, man, you used to just flick through a photo album. But actually, what that does is the picture that people will pay people to take is the one they will value the most. So actually, on the flip side, it's made the picture more valuable. Do you agree?
Yes, I think it has. I mean, most of us have got smartphones, and majority of smartphones have cameras. So effectively, we are all photographers now because we always have our smartphone with us.
Yeah.
And so in one way, because we're all photographers, the need for a professional photographer in some respects has diminished. But there are certain circumstances where you can't take that picture yourself. So special occasions, weddings and stuff like that. And also you would perhaps want to mark that occasion with a professionally taken photograph. So yeah, in one way, we're all photographers, and the need for a professional photographer has diminished, but the need for specific photographs has actually probably increased.
I think it's about like what I was mentioning at the beginning of the episode is like, it's the photographer. It's not necessarily, this isn't me just trying to get one over on the wife. But sometimes you can give the same camera to two different people and they'll do different things with it. Like I was saying, your black and whites and your close-ups are just, I've found a new appreciation for photography over the last few years. Especially when it does come to like those noir shots. Cause I feel like there's something in, I meant there's an advert on Facebook and it's called something, it's like, I think it's a filter, and it's something black, and it just it just added a certain mood to all these pictures that were being showed on this ad, and it adds emotion to me. I really like it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to come between you and your partner and take sides, but I would have to say yes, it's the photographer that takes the picture.
Yeah, she knows. She already knows, don't worry. She already knows. She took the one with me and Kevin Smith. She took that one, so she's to blame. I agree.
Yeah, because effectively cameras, effectively the very basic principle of a camera is the same, regardless if it's a digital, it's an iPhone, whether it's a film camera or whatever. It's effectively a light-proof box in which you're controlling the light getting into that box. That's all it is. But yes, it is the photographer that takes the picture. It's not the camera.
Yeah. What's the pandemic been like for you? Because obviously weddings are dried up, festivals are dried up. Has this been a good time for reflection for you?
Reflection's a good word, yes. I mean, it's during the first lockdown, I think a lot of photographers did the same. And this was, we do what photographers do, and that is to document and to record what was happening. So like other photographers, I was doing the same. I was, obviously within the restrictions of the time, I was going out taking pictures that reflected the fact that we were in a pandemic. So empty streets, social distance cues, people wearing masks, hand sanitizers, stuff like that. And also in at home as well, taking a series of shots and self-portraits that kind of reflected the fact that we were in lockdown. By the second lockdown, to be honest with you, I didn't want to photograph another person in a mask or another hand sanitizer. Yeah. And what I began doing, what I've been doing recently, is looking back on photos I'd taken previously, but perhaps hadn't done anything with. Perhaps I haven't edited them. So I've been going through those, sorting those out, and putting those on either on my website or my social media. But there have been occasions where I talked about woodland photography. So as part of my daily exercise, I will use perhaps one or two of those opportunities to go out to a wood, particularly if the weather's particularly good for photographing those scenes, and do that. But I mean, I think photographers will always find something to photograph.
I think it broadens out towards all creative types, because we were talking on a live show for my USUC stuff last night. That we were talking about a thing you love, a guilty thing you love, and an unpopular thing you hate. We were just talking about things like that, and I was just saying, like, that's not easy for me. It's really not easy for me. It's simple questions like that, because mood dictates where I'm going to go with certain things, right? So if I need inspiration, I'll go for a walk, or I'll go to, a music festival, go to the cinema, or go get those life experiences that will kind of affect the way you do things. And we can't really do that at the moment. I know you can go for this big outcry for don't go to beauty spots, don't go big hills, don't do this, don't do that. But that's because everybody's out there at the moment kind of like, I need to get out, I need to do something. I can't blame people for doing that, because that's what it is. It's a beauty spot. It's in the name. So at the moment, I'm kind of missing that inspiration. I miss people, and I miss events, and I miss going to the shops and things. I totally feel your frustration. Absolutely, 100%. I feel it. Yeah, it's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, it is. But and aside from that, I mean, we've started, myself and some friends of mine have started a film photography club here in Shrewsbury. So we started it last year during a pandemic, which perhaps isn't the best time to start a social club, but there you go, we started it. And whilst we were able to meet up and we were able to go on different field trips and stuff last summer, obviously during this lockdown and during the winter months, what we've done is we have a Facebook page, so we've used that to keep in touch with the members and to come up with different ideas for them and provide inspiration for them through the Facebook page. So as you said, there's you always try to find different ways to express yourself and to get through this pandemic in whatever way you can.
I think looking at like past works and re-editing things and look, I have been finding a lot of joy just making stuff like we've just launched a new website, so for USUC, thanks to Web Orchard, by the way, who will get another mention at the end of the show, but like making like new logos and creating new things for the show. We're constantly, I'm really lucky. I do feel like I'm lucky because I can do stuff like that. There's a lot of people that can't. If someone was going to start sort of venturing down photography and wanted to do film photography, right? Because anybody can buy a digital camera, right? But film photography is very specific. What advice would you give to someone for taking a step into that?
Well, first off, obviously get a camera. And the good thing about film photography is that you can get really, good cameras with a decent lens relatively cheaply on these internet auction sites, eBay and the such like. I would suggest going for a camera that gives you control over the shutter speed and the aperture. So you need to do a bit of, depending on what level of photography you're at, you need to do a bit of research if you're not familiar with those terms. But any camera that gives you more control over its settings is always better than just a simple point and shoot. So yeah, just have a search on eBay for cameras. Check out camera reviews. I mean, and as I said, you can pick up a reasonably cheap, really good film camera. With digital cameras, the prices are coming down. Obviously, they're going to be slightly more expensive, although they're probably more accessible and more easy to use. And once you've got it, just get out there, just start taking pictures.
Is there a type of film camera that is a lot more accessible? So to avoid buying a film that's actually quite expensive, what would you recommend is like the most common or the easiest camera to buy to step into doing this?
Right, so you're putting me on the spot here a bit.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's absolutely fine. I suppose camera brands if you look at an Olympus, I think it's an OM10. My colleagues in the film camera club are going to lynch me if I got that wrong. But Olympus, have a look at Olympus OM10 and Canon. Basically, any camera brand that you're familiar with, that you're aware of. So Olympus, Canon, Nikon tend to be the obvious ones to go for, and they've got a range of cameras, so to suit all sorts of budgets. And also the important thing is they've got a range of lenses that you can attach to the different cameras. So yeah, I'd go for one of those to start with. And just the important thing is to just get out there and start taking pictures. Get used to your camera, see how it feels in your hand. I must admit, I mean, during this pandemic, myself and talking to other photographers, they've been doing the same. They've just spent hours on eBay just buying cameras and trying different cameras out and then trying to sell them back again. So I've gone through a range of different cameras, picking them up cheaply, trying them out, thinking, yeah, that's good, I like that, I'll keep that one, or trying it out and thinking, oh, there's something not quite right about that one, and then selling it on. So it's a great hobby to get into, because you're able to just pick and choose. And as I said, the cost is, it's quite reasonable, really. It's quite reasonable.
I would like to invest in a new camera, because okay, so I'm going to say a huge shout out to the people For the Love of Shrewsbury right now, the Facebook group, because you guys are all amazing. And what I did, and like, I think it was the beginning of November, was like, guys, I really need some photos because I use a different picture every week for my podcasts.
Yeah.
It's usually Shrewsbury related, because there's just so much to look at around Shrewsbury. It's good to celebrate that.
Yeah.
And so I asked for photos, and I got inundated, absolutely inundated with pictures. And that one post kept me going until last week.
No way.
Yeah, I kept just going back to that post and downloading those pictures, and then I'll give everyone a credit, like whoever's picture was, give them a credit in the write out for the show. I would love to take my own pictures, but actually now, do you know what? I'm enjoying just like displaying other people's art. So I mean, if you're listening to this now and you're not in part of for the Love of Shrewsbury, you can just on Facebook or email or whatever, you just send us a picture if it's Shrewsbury related, or even just outside Shrewsbury. I don't care. Send them to us, and we'll use your picture for artwork for the show, because that's what I enjoy.
And I tell you, that will mean so much to the photographer as well, because we love taking pictures and we love showing them to our friends and family. But when somebody that isn't known to us then chooses one of our pictures and says, yeah, I like this, I'm going to put this on my website or on my podcast, whatever, it means so much to photographers. So yeah, I can tell you that every single photo that you would have used, there would have been a very, very happy photographer at the.
Oh, I'm glad. I really am. And like, I would love to do. I mean, this was actually one of the first when I first launched the Biscuit. This was one of my ideas, but the Biscuit wasn't big enough to create any sort of traction. But was to do like a cover art, a cover of the month, and then they'll go into like the cover of the year sort of thing, and we could celebrate people's pictures. Maybe we're still in January. We can do that. We could probably do that this month.
Yeah.
Start that. I don't know. I'll maybe get one of the other Biscuiteers to do that. When it comes to like the pièce de résistance, that the picture, if there's a dozen, 6, I don't know, 3, if the most important pictures that you've taken, what are they for, and where were you when you took them? And that's really hard, and that's like choosing between your children.
Ooh, yeah,
but those I know a few of mine where I've taken pictures and I thought, wow, I was in the zone then. Like, you know, have you got a few that you really enjoyed that you can tell us about?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of changes over time. It's kind of like saying, what's your favorite album or what's your favorite single? You know, ask me 5 years ago, it'd have been something completely different. So there are a few images. I mean, I'm just trying to think. There was one shot I took years ago. and it was at a cafe, and there was a frosted partition screen, a glass frosted screen that I was on one side of, and on the other side there was a table with two people, obviously having a cup of coffee and an animated chat. And so they were silhouetted against this frosted screen. And it just, the light was shining through it. All the elements just fell into place. And I thought, that is amazing. And I happened to have a camera with me. And I took a picture, and I just happened to catch it as one of the people sat at the table was being very expressive with her hands when she was talking. And so her hand was reaching out to the other person, and it was open. And it was just what's called in photography the decisive moment. If it had been a second later or a second earlier, it would still been a good shot, but perhaps not the same. And so I think that was one of the first shots that I thought, as soon as I pressed the button, I thought, wow, that's something really special. And it's done me proud that shot has. It was featured on something the BBC did, and it's been featured in a number of places. So there's, I think, as soon as you asked me that question, I think that was the first shot that.
That's
came
nice.
up. But there's hundreds of others that I could equally say were, oh yeah, I love that, or yeah.
When it comes to like those pictures that have stood the test of time, those cult classics, Breakfast at Tiffany's, or the New York cab, those guys sat on the girder in New York eating their dinner. Those things, like they. And even though, as well, to flip it on its head, the stock photos you see on Google, you Google something, you're like, the workplace, and you got that stock photo. If you imagine if you were the guy that took that photo and everybody's using it, you'd be well proud, wouldn't you?
I know, you would be. Absolutely.
Yeah. Shutterstock. Right. So we just covered on it briefly while I was talking. We're talking about sort of Shrewsbury and how beautiful it is. Is there a place that you like to go in Shrewsbury that gives you a bit of inspiration?
So I've talked about my love of woodland photography. So there's a couple of places. There's so actually Hormond Hill isn't bad. I've been up there a few times. Depends when you go, because you can get a lot of people around there, but just wandering through there, that's good. I mean, not necessarily Shrewsbury, but in Shropshire in general, because it's a fantastic county to photograph. There's a place down, where is it? It's kind of the other side of Minsterley. It's a place called Shelve, and there's a little patch of coniferous wood that I've taken loads of photos in. It's just an amazing spot to go. And also Rectory Wood. I don't know if you know Rectory Wood in Church Stretton. If you can park up in Church Stretton and just walk past the church, and on the straightaway you're in this wonderful, wonderful woodland. It's quite an old, ancient woodland as well. So they've got some big old trees, lots of paths. There's a small little reservoir in the middle of there, which is great. So those are the kind of places that I like take pictures of. But yeah, Shrewsbury itself, I mean, obviously around St Altman's, the Bear Steps, around there. Oh, yeah. If you like that sort of old world kind of nostalgic look, that's always good to try. Yeah.
It's nice that you get to mix that up, and that's the beauty of Shropshire, isn't it? That you can, one minute you can be like right in the middle of Telford, all these buildings around you, and the next minute you're in Condover, and you've got all these, what I mean? It's all like 20, 30. I love Shropshire. I think we're so lucky. I think that's because we don't know any different. I think if we were from up north, we'd be like, you know what? Right, we live in the best county, don't we? Like, it's so beautiful.
When I've lived in Shropshire all my life, and I think growing up, as you said, you just kind of take it for granted. It's only when you start mixing with people that are not from Shrewsbury or not from the county, and they say, "Wow, this is amazing," and you say, "What's amazing?" "Oh, this place." "I suppose it is," and you begin to. It's only as you get older and mature that you begin to really appreciate the beauty of the place. But it is a fantastic place to live and very, very picturesque.
I always when I think of picturesque places, I always think of Wrexham, where I grew up. There's a place called Erddig, in Wrexham, and it's a river that runs through this prehistoric ground. Lots of beautiful sights, and my kids, they go out there still and stuff. I love that place so much, and that's the one place. One of them that I miss my friends in Wrexham. I haven't been there for years properly. But that's one of the places I miss, is just walking through Erddig. It was just such a beautiful place. If you've ever been there, you'll know. If you haven't been there, make sure you visit if you're in that area when lockdown's finished.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been there, but yes, it is a wonderful place. I know it.
It's full of great places. I hope things, do open up again for you, James, because the world needs photographers, right? Because we need to capture these moments in our life, like you were saying about taking the pictures of people queuing up outside stores, people in face masks, and sort of documenting this moment in our life. It would be good to document when we come out of it. Maybe get the adulation and the joy, and people are like in the pub, or they go into a festival or they're in a gig or a wedding. The joy on a bride and groom's face because they could have more than 15 people at their wedding. It'd be good to document them.
I mean, the last 12 months, certainly for me, it's made me appreciate things that I'd taken for granted. Simply just deciding, I'll this lunchtime I'm going to pop down to the local coffee shop and grab a bite to eat and have a drink there. Stuff that, in certain circumstances, you can still do, but it's a bit more. You have to think about it. Where's my mask? So yeah. There's been things that I've began to appreciate that previously I'd taken for granted.
I miss that so much. That was one of my favorite things to do. So before my wife was kicked out of the office and sent home to work, I'd spend a lot of time by myself, sort of half the week. These days I'm off, I'd be on my own, right? So I'd scoop up my laptop and my headphones, and I would go and find a nice coffee shop to sit and edit. I found a few great spots around around Shrewsbury and the outskirts. That you could just do that. You could just sit there, and I read on your website that you like to just sit and people watch. Perfect. I love that too. I love just watching the world go around me whilst listening to my own voice in my headphones. It's a bit weird, I gotta say. But there's nothing better than, even if I'm not speaking to people, right? And I'm completely just minding my own business. There's people around me. Just the thought of not being on my own, and people just being around me.
I mean, we are social animals, and even if it's, as you said, even if it's just being in the company of other people is something that we benefit from, even if we're not actually talking to those people or communicating with them. Just being with people is something that's natural to us, and I think we've all missed that of the last 12 months. So here's for a much better 2021.
Absolutely. Would you like to? What's your favourite sort of places to go, coffee shop wise? Shout out some coffee shops.
There's what Ginger and Co. Is it Ginger and Co?
Yes, by the theatre.
Yeah, I mean that's if I'm able to get that little bench seat in the window, that's great. I can sit there with my coffee and I can just watch people come and go past. That's nice. That's my prime spot if I go out. But yeah, there's so many others that it's.
What's the name? Is it Daily Brews? But Daily Brew next to Starbucks.
Yeah, in the square. Yes.
Yeah. I like that place because they've got USB plugs on the top of the seat. On the top of the seat, so I can sit there and just keep my laptop completely charged. I'm happy. Right.
Well, there you go. Because what I'll sometimes do is I'll be out with my camera taking pictures, and then I'll come home to edit them. But if there's somewhere where I can actually keep my laptop and my phone charged up, then that'll be something worth remembering.
And just a pointer as well, if you do, when the world does open up, and if you do see me in a coffee shop sat there editing, and I've got my headphones on and I'm just staring at the ceiling, I'm doing what James does when he's looking down the lens of a camera. I am listening for fuzzy audio. I'm listening for audio levels. I'm just trying to get this editing done, and don't feel like you can't wave to me and say hello, because I will always say hello. I'm not being rude. I always feel like with these big headphones I've got on now, I've got a few different pairs. These are my favorite ones for recording with. But I always feel like when I've got these overhead headphones on, I've completely blocked out the world. I was saying to my wife, like, I've got some editing to do later. I'm going to go sit on the table like I would do in a coffee shop. My wife's across the room. And I will work. But I feel like I'm completely ignoring the world when I've got these on. I feel so ignorant, you know. It's weird.
But you're working.
Bringing joy to the world every week.
Absolutely, yeah.
Courtesy of Alex Whiteley. Would you like to tell our listeners where they can find your work, James?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So my website is jameswarmanphotography.com. So that's James Warman Photography, all one word. And Warman is spelled Warman.
Mm-hmm.
And Instagram, I've actually got 3 Instagram accounts, but they're all kind of linked. But the main one is at James Warman Photos, all one word. So yeah, more than happy for you to come along, have a look at my work, drop me a message, like my work, whatever, you know.
Yeah. Are you after commissions at the moment, or are you kind of just doing your own thing?
Am I what? Sorry?
Are you after commissions at the moment, or are you just doing
always after commissions?
Yeah.
Always after commissions, yeah. I would say, I'm working on some personal projects at the moment and talking to different organisations, and hopefully something's going to come out of those later this year. But particularly with live music photography, that's something I will just jump at the chance to do. So if anybody is a musician or in a band and they're wanting a photographer to either take some promo shots or just take shots of them in concert when we can finally do that, I would jump at the chance of doing that. I would do that free of charge. I just love it so much. And also I'm thinking of doing, because it's one thing photographing bands when they're performing on stage, which is great, but I like the idea of photographing musicians when they're not giving a performance, when they're perhaps practicing. So I've got this idea of photographing bands during their practice period, when they're I've got a cheesy title for this, a working title for it. I'm not sure if I should share it at the moment because it's pretty cheesy, but
no, I'll be like cheese and the biscuits allowed.
Okay.
Biscuits.
So as a working title, I've thought I'd call it "Lost in Music" because it's kind of that's not too cheesy then.
No, I quite like that. Lost in Music. That's perfect, I think, because you do you find yourself getting
because it's what we said before about being in the zone. So it's photographing musicians that are in that zone, not giving a performance, but lost in music. So if there's any musicians out there that would be interested, I would be more than happy to oblige.
Do you know what? I love this episode. It's really good because you know what? Sometimes with I'm going to let you into a little secret now, guys. Sometimes with guests, we'll fill up notes with pages with notes. With James, I haven't. Literally, that's all I've written on the page. Because I looked at your work, and I looked at the way you work and the way you move around the world, and I was like, no, I feel like we've got a lot in common. I said this to you this morning. I feel like
we did, yeah.
Click, and I think it's always good to just get that behind the microphone. It's good to get that initial sort of, you like this, you like that. You know, it's nice. You know?
Yeah. It's really, really enjoyed it. I love your podcasts anyway. I've been listening to them.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
Fantastic stuff. I've really enjoyed our chat today.
This has been really nice, and I really do hope that the listeners do check out your website and your Instagram. And like I said, everyone's going to need a photographer soon. So make sure you give James a shout, especially if you're in that band. I would also like to sort of encourage you guys to check out our website. The Web Orchard, man, they are just the best. They've helped me out with this website for the Shrewsbury Biscuit, and we now got one for You Suck. And they're just brilliant at what they do. And our website is beautiful. So if you do need a website and you want the professionals to go out and make you a sexy looking site, make sure you go to the Web Orchard. Ours is at www.theshrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk and check it out. It looks great. If you want to check out our USUC stuff as well, that's usucknetwork.com. There you go. There's another vision of what they do. James, you've been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining
Alex,
me.
thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
I hope you guys stay safe, and we'll catch you next time. Peace out, guys.